Hello and welcome to the opening bell. My name is Isaac, and in this video we will be recapping the stock market week of July 17th through July 21st, 2023. So let's get started. In this video, we'll be using the Yahoo Finance chart graphs, and this week there's a lot of stuff that to take into account for this week and a lot of stock market news, and we're going to go through all of that news in this stock market video. And mostly this week, a lot of earnings reports calls and one earning reports for major companies this week, and one major company that reported their earnings this week and had a very big impact on the New York Stock Exchange was the streaming service Netflix. And right now we are going to look at the chart for the streaming service Netflix. So Netflix will start the week at a price of $441.91. And right away, Netflix is going to take a profit to start the week. These are probably people who are by now gambling on hoping that Netflix will hopefully do well in their earnings reports. So these are people that will be gambling, thinking that Netflix is going to do good. And right when we get to the earnings date midweek, we're going to see Netflix just drop a lot. This is going to go from a price above $480 going all the way down. Netflix going down all the way to a low of the week at all the way below $427. So that's like a little less than a $60 span from the high of the week to the low of the week for Netflix, and a really bad earnings call this week. And a lot of stuff to take into account for Netflix this week. They had a really bad earnings call this week, despite the fact that a lot of people thought that Netflix was going to go up. So that's why people started buying it in the beginning of the week, and midweek when Netflix reported their earnings, they dropped a lot, and most of the people must have lost a lot of money in Netflix with this big loss. And so overall, a lot of stuff that I'd like to talk about for Netflix in total. One thing I'd like to talk about for Netflix is how they did in their earnings call. So Netflix, on Wall Street estimated that Netflix would have a revenue of $8.30 billion, but Netflix falling actually just a little short of that at $8.19 billion. Subscriber growth. So the Wall Street estimated that Netflix would have had a subscriber growth of 2.1 million subscribers, and however, Netflix beat that, having a subscriber growth of 5.9 million subscribers, way more and way beating the street's expectations on subscriber growth. So in total, Netflix with their subscriber growth almost actually doubling the street's expectations, shows that their password crackdown this quarter must have paid off a lot, and so their password crackdown must have given them a lot of extra subscribers, which despite the loss in earnings this week is really good for Netflix in total for subscriber growth. So an overall mixed look at Netflix from the perspective that you take on the earnings call of the streaming service company. This is another chart of the streaming service Netflix, and this is actually the 3-month chart for Netflix. And I want to talk about a lot of things about this chart, the 3-month chart for Netflix. First thing is that we see right away as we look at this graph, we see a huge profit. This profit going all the way up from just the beginning of the 3 months, all the way going up. This 3-month quarter going all the way up, all the way to its high peak just before the earnings. But just before the earnings call this week, that dropped Netflix down around $60 downward. But a lot of stuff to take into account for this past quarter for Netflix. One thing is first that at this point right here, before, like in the middle of May, this big jump right here following up. This big jump right here is when Netflix started their password crackdown. This password crackdown obviously showed that it gave Netflix it gave Netflix more subscriber growth, as said in the past. And just as I just said before, the subscriber growth doubling the street's expectations showed that the password crackdown was a big success for Netflix subscriber-wise. And going up, we see that Netflix continues to go up, and we're going to see this big jump probably right here, following all the way going up to right here. So this, actually make that circle better, my apologies. And so right here, this big jump right here is not only the fact that people are thinking that the earning reports will be good, it's also about the recent Hollywood actor strike that we've seen recently, which has affected a lot of streaming services stocks. So the fact that during the Hollywood strike and during the Hollywood actor strike and Netflix still went up shows that Netflix is getting is still maintaining their stock despite the fact of the Hollywood actor strike. So showing that even though the Hollywood actor strike is affecting other stocks, Netflix is not getting so affected by that. Of course, we see this big profit right here, so maybe overseas actors could be a big role in this Netflix going up during the strike. So a lot of stuff to take into account for Netflix as we go into the coming weeks. But overall, a not so good earnings, a really bad earnings call this week for the streaming service. Here's the next chart that we have, and we're going to talk about a new stock, and a stock that I actually talked about last week but reported their earning calls this week, and this stock is Tesla, the EV maker Tesla. So Tesla this week did not have so good earnings, so they'll actually start the week on a kind of like a little profitable note. People thinking that their stock might go up during the earnings calls. However, as it did with Netflix, Tesla will go down badly. Will go down from around a little more than $290 all the way down to a low of the week below $260. This is around a $30 drop just from that point right before the earnings call all the way towards near the end of the week. So around like a $30 drop, just like that for Tesla. And so this is a lot of stuff to take into account when you think about how Tesla performed during this earnings call. Most investors were maybe expecting Tesla to go up during their earnings calls. However, did not go up during their earnings call this week. And so a lot of stuff to take into account for. And we'll give you some actual statistics on how Tesla's earnings went this week. So we'll start with the revenue that Tesla got. So Wall Street estimated that Tesla would have gone at $24.51 billion revenue. However, Tesla beating that and getting a $24.90 billion revenue dollars, beating the street's expectations on that. So that's showing revenue for Tesla despite the stock going down this week because of the earnings calls. And another thing to take into account is the fact that maybe Tesla wasn't producing that many EV cars this past quarter. Tesla falling short on maybe their producing numbers of EV cars. And as recently, Tesla has been shifting their attention to making a Cybertruck car that Tesla was going to make. So this could have been Tesla thinking about the Cybertruck could have affected this number of sales and produce the products of EV cars that Tesla produced this quarter, showing that because of that, Tesla did go down because of their earning report. That is just one reason the why Tesla went down this week. And so overall, a not so good earnings report call for the car company, the EV car company. And so we hope that Tesla rebounds off this earning reports and goes up with their new Cybertruck coming out hopefully soon. We hope that Tesla will start to rebound and go upwards in the coming weeks. The next graphs I want to show you are actually two graphs for stocks that are banking stocks. These stocks are JP Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo. And so on the left, you'll see this is JP Morgan Chase, and on the right, you'll see this is Wells Fargo's graph. So, and I don't even need to look at the to explain the graph. You guys already know that this graph shows that we see a profit going up. The profit going up all the way up for both banking companies, and because of how good they did in their earning reports. A lot of banks have reported in the past like 2 weeks, and these include major banks and regional banks that reported. And I want to mainly talk about regional banks. Wells Fargo and JP Morgan Chase are not regional banks. However, many regional banks such as Truist, as one example of a regional bank, had mixed pictures of their earning reports this week. M&T Bank, Fifth Third Bank are also some regional banks that we have, and we know that earlier in this past quarter was the Silicon Valley Bank going bankrupt, and so that must have been a really bad reason why some regional banks went down. However, we see that some regional banks were mixed, and major banks like JP Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo show right here a profit during their stock price during their earnings reports. So do we see that, is it possible that we see that the Silicon Valley Bank didn't affect these stocks during their earnings report? So that's a really good news to hear for banking, that banking stocks did pretty good this past quarter for their earning reports. So that's some good news to hear as we head into the coming weeks. It is time now for my top stock market pick, which I will present to you right now. Just one quick thing for me to say before we start Isaac's top stock market pick for this week is that my top stock market pick is personally my own opinion. It is the opinion that I have. I'm not saying that the stock go up. If the stock goes down, it might. But I'm saying that is what I personally think, in my opinion, will go up in the coming days, and what I will buy in the coming days, I think. And so just something to keep in mind. But for my top stock market pick this week, and the stock that I think is the best to buy personally for me right now, is Mattel. Mattel, the company that we know made Barbie dolls, and Barbie dolls, big thing that people have been buying the past month. This is actually a 1 month chart, and because of the Barbie movie coming out actually on July 21st, this past week on Friday. The Barbie movie making a lot of money right away. We see that the Barbie movie topping in number one in the first place of the top 5 pre-show debuts of 2023. The other 4 being Guardians of the Galaxy, Quantumania, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and Oppenheimer, which is also coming out this weekend. And so Barbie coming in with the pre-show revenue $22.3 million already, topping and making it the most, making it a lot of revenue in the number 1 movie so far to come out in the pre-show debuts in 2023. And so this shows that the Barbie movie is going to affect the Mattel stock, which is the company that makes the Barbie dolls, for weeks to come. And I want to talk about Mattel, because not only Barbie is a big part of Mattel, other toys and dolls that Mattel makes are also that also could be made into movies. Other toys and dolls that Mattel make could be made into movies in the coming years. And so look for Mattel to possibly take more profit and take more revenue, and their stock to go up as they look to expand their toys and making them into movies like Barbie did. And right away we see Barbie, I say kind of as the American toy for girls mostly. The American doll that symbolizes America, mostly I'd say Barbie in total, and Mattel making a lot of revenue off that. We see a really big profit this month for Mattel leading up to the release date of the Barbie movie this week. And so we see we see a lot that the Barbie movie is going to get a lot of revenue for the streaming companies. And so look for the Barbie movie to be a big part and affect the box office a lot in the coming weeks. So just a quick little talk about that before we end this week's stock market video. Let's take a look at what to watch for next week, and a lot of earnings reports coming in next week as the big and major tech companies start to release their earnings reports. That's starting next week on Tuesday, July 25th. We'll see Microsoft, Alphabet, and Verizon all report their earnings reports. And on Wednesday, July 26th, Meta Platforms and AT&T will be reporting, as well as fast food companies Domino's on Monday, Chipotle, Mexican Grill on Wednesday, and McDonald's and Sweetgreen on Thursday, all reporting their earning reports. So a lot of earning reports coming in the next couple of days, and next week also is the Fed meeting. And as we've heard a couple weeks ago, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell saying that there will be at least two more rate hikes prior to the end of the year. So one of them could be coming could be said to be coming tomorrow. And so not tomorrow, in the next in the next week. And so this rate hike probably coming soon during the Fed meeting this week. So just something to think about going forward. Thank you for watching the stock market recap of the week of July 17th through July 21st, 2023. I hope you enjoyed this recap, and I will continue posting stock market recaps weekly. Thanks.